They say good things come to those who wait. Well, guess I'm gonna be at least an hour late. You've been so good to me, allow me to demonstrate. Hey, real loving, you don't have to wait. Now come closer, yeah. You pick me up, keep me up when I'm feeling under. When I'm feeling undone. Oh secret, oh secret, oh secret. You're the one I've been keeping. You are the one, yeah.
Welcome to another episode of Doek and Ty on a beautiful Sunday. I don't know if I should say exciting or not, because that's a little presumptuous, right? That's assuming that somebody finds it exciting. Yes, my name is Doek. My name is Ty. This is Doek, my beautiful wife. And thank you so much for being here. A big shout out to everybody who's been here since the first episode. And if this is your first time here, welcome. Welcome to the village. It's called Doek and Ty, the platform. And yourself now, you identify as a villager, right? That's something that we decided on this week. So if you have been sort of following us from the first time that we started, I think we should call ourselves the villagers and make this a village, right? Okay. So that's a concept that we agreed on. Let us know what you think of that. You know, the villagers. You can tie the village.
Okay.
So yeah, how you look?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. Have you noticed that we hardly ask each other how we are? Like, we spend so much time together, but it's not a lot where, you know, we just, without any, I sort of get a necessity or what, or just asking each other how we are, right? So let me grab the stick of truth. If you're new here, whoever has the stick of truth, it's a hippo, gets to speak, right? So for most of the episode, we just put it across.
We rarely ever use it, but hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
And I'm glad to be back at the Grey Wall, man. Hashtag Grey Wall Conversations. We're not here last week or the previous episode. We uploaded, Wednesday. So a big shout out to everybody who checked out that episode and everybody who commented. There was somebody who commented asking something, right?
Yes, someone wanted to know more about the process, which I unfortunately also do not really know. He's a baba, so I need to have like a sit down with him or invite him on the show to explain. But what in essence I do know is that there are boreholes all around. And some of them they're owned by the government. So
Water Utilities Corporation.
So what you do is, I don't know the whole process, but you identify one and then you apply for it and then they check it out. And if everything checks out, I believe then you are given, I don't know if you're given or borrowed. Or
it's probably a lease. I'm thinking it's more, you are given permission to use it. And then I believe what also dad mentioned, collective, it's way better than one, you know. I think people tend to be selfish. So I get that in a certain area, and then I only want to use a kilowatt, I want to keep it to myself. It becomes a little
iffy.
The whole point of those community boreholes to benefit as many people as possible. So if literally a collective to say, okay, we're able to maintain this city, maybe an engine pump or anything related to that, and then we'll man it, and then make sure all the livestock that resides in this area can utilize it. Can utilize that borehole.
Okay, so I will be sure to get more details from Dad and then let everybody know.
Yeah. Or if you're working at Water Utilities Corporation or you know anything about Prosia Didiba, comment on the comment section below and let us know how it works. I think they're called communal boreholes communal boreholes, right? So on today's episode of Doek and Ty, we realized we haven't talked about relationships in a while. Relationships. We haven't done that in a while, so we decided let's take it back. And today we're talking about deal breakers in relationships. I believe this extends to whether you are in the talking stage, whether you are courting, whether you are dating, or whether you're engaged, and whether you're married, right? I have a couple of questions to ask you there, but maybe let's start with you, babe. What are your deal breakers? You can go back as early as from when we were dating, when you were dating.
From
How did you deal breaker? What exactly are those?
Okay, when I say deal breakers, I mean I don't know how to put it. It's complete no-nos.
Yeah.
It's a complete no-no. It's a, I don't want to call it a condition, but it has to be met, whatever it is, in order for there to be a relationship, I believe. So my deal breakers, or things that I would generally not put up with, like if such happened, I would walk out of the relationship.
Or even if something didn't happen, right? I believe it goes both ways, right?
Or even if something didn't happen, you'd walk away from a relationship. Okay. So...
Hey, I need to listen attentively to this part, yo.
Well, already married.
No, still, there's still deal breakers in marriage, so...
Okay, so while we were dating, let me see, what were my deal breakers? Oh yes, this one. If I get even the slightest whiff that this person could become violent, I'm gone. Miss me. I'm gone, bye.
Okay.
Yes.
Violence how? Is it violent towards you or just generally? If, say example, it's me, right? They swerve in front of me and then I rear end them, or I would get violent with that person.
Road rage.
Yeah, road rage to the point where I get violent. Was it specifically violence towards you or violence towards just generally being a violent
Violence
person?
that makes me uncomfortable. It doesn't matter what kind.
Okay.
If ever there's violence and I feel uncomfortable, I'm gone. I'm out.
What if it's violence protecting you?
If it's protecting me, I believe that there are instances where people would protect you, yes. But let's say you feel like you're protecting me, right? And then you pummel someone until they're holding on by a straw.
Yeah.
That it wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
Like, I understand protecting me, but to death's door. And then I start getting scared. What if
I'm capable.
So that's the kind of violence I mean.
Okay, makes sense. So violence is one for you, alright? And then what's the others?
No,
maybe share 3 and then I'll share 3 as well.
Okay, so violence is the first one for me. The second one is cheating. I do not condone.
What is cheating?
Cheating. I do not condone infidelity. So, to answer your question, what is cheating? If you have extramarital affairs, I'm out. Like, there's no negotiation, there's no, guys, you have this, you have kids together, you have a home, I'm out. Like, that is one thing that I am not apologetic about. Like, it's within me, I cannot, like, I cannot handle it. So why would I put myself through something saying, every day I'm gonna keep thinking about, I'm gonna keep remembering? Because I may forgive you, but forgetting is gonna take my whole life. It's gonna take forever. So I know that it's not something that I can deal with or I can live with. So let's just go our separate ways. I'll love you from over here. You can be over there. Yes.
What does that even mean? I'll love you from over here.
It means that we do not have to be together.
Okay.
Yes.
So violence number 1, 2, cheating. Infidelity, right? And then number 3. And then I have a question for you.
Number 3, my third deal breaker was I think I've mentioned this before. I've wanted a man who believes in God. I wanted a man who believes and fears the Lord. I wanted someone who we could share the word with together, talk about the word, challenge each other. If ever we feel a certain way about something, we could have, stimulating, productive conversations on, be it religion, be it Christianity, be it I didn't want someone who doesn't believe in God. Like, we're going to have very differing values when it comes to how to raise the children, when it comes to whether or not we go to church or not. I felt like it would have been more admin for me.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Before I share mine, right? I think I agree with most of what you said, right? But I'll try a little different so that we have more options on the table here. I want to know, did your deal breakers change at the different levels or various levels of your relationship, right? Kind of there's both a talking stage. I believe that's when you get to mention all these things to your person or your potential person, right? Then there's your dating, there's your courting, and then there's being engaged, and then finally being married. Did it cut across the same? Or did you have a certain deal breaker when you were dating, and then later on when you engaged, it kind of faded, and then you probably had a new one? How did that? I think you get what I mean.
I think I had certain deal breakers that were very blurry that I could overlook. Yeah. Because I felt that some of the things that I deemed or thought were deal breakers were, what's the word? I felt they were a bit materialistic sometimes, or they were superficial. Because all my life I've always said I want to marry a tall man.
Well,
yes. However, when we met, we were similar heights. He wasn't necessarily way taller than me. But afterwards, he's had the sudden growth spurt, and I know. So I believe that maybe
it was good.
It could be an answered prayer. I wanted a taller guy, so that I wanted because females, we like wearing heels. So I wanted when I wear my heels, I wanted us to be sort of at the same level, or you be a bit taller, as opposed to Geroheta.
Okay.
Yes.
I feel like there's a lot of ladies, yourself included, with I'll call it an obsession with tall men. What is that about? Is it what you just explained, when you're wearing heels?
For me, it was a practicality thing, and it had to do with the fact that I've been tall all my life.
Yeah.
So you'd find that in my entire class,
you're the tallest kid. You're a tall kid.
No, luckily as I progressed in primary, yes, I was the tallest kid in class.
Yeah.
But as I progressed through junior school and senior, you'd find that there are kids of similar height. There are kids who are So I went from being the tallest in the class to having guys who are the same height as me, and then seeing guys who are taller than me. So I'm like, okay.
Jeez, babe, that's a deal breaker as well. Oh, that was the superficial one. It used
to be a deal breaker.
Okay.
But not really, because you were not all that tall.
But now I'm taller. So, all right, let me quickly
either you're taller or I shrunk. I don't know what happened.
Let me quickly share mine, right? Deal breakers. And then you're still to answer my question whether your deal breakers stayed the same throughout, the different levels of Hojola, right? Up to marriage, right? Because I want to hear your deal breakers now that we're married, a bit later on. Well, mine, I'll take it back to dating, right? Getting to know people. Deal breaker number 1, I had to be clean. Clean. Yeah? I'll take it back to the basics. Cleanliness is very, very, very important to me. I think that's something that my mom and the people who raised me instilled in me, right?
Cleanliness is next to godliness.
Exactly. That's what my mom would always say. For you to fear God, you have to be clean. It's next to godliness, right? So for me, cleanliness is more of I think these days I'm a little relaxed. But growing up, I was very, very, very obsessed with just cleanliness. Room needs to be clean. food you eat needs to be clean, your shoes need to be clean, clothes you wear need to be clean and nicely pressed. So, they don't, they don't meet my standards of cleanliness. I wouldn't even look at them twice, like, deal breaker already. So now, maybe it was materialistic, I don't know, but that's what I liked or that's what I didn't like, right? I prefer cleanliness. That's number one.
Me too.
I'll take it to like very basic things. And then, let's see, okay. Let's go with this one. I think later on in life, I then started, it's a colorism thing, right? I consumed a lot of history. When you became woke. Yeah, I got woke. I became woke. So I had a thing where I didn't necessarily like light-skinned people. Though I'm light-skinned myself, right? Let me explain this. Let me explain this because I think growing up, I for one had the privilege of being light-skinned, right? I'm saying it's a privilege because I saw how I was treated differently from other people, right? So that more in Africa, when you're light-skinned, I feel like at certain points in your life or certain instances, you are treated better than the people who are a little dark-skinned or brown-skinned girl, brown-skinned boy, right? So that thing got to me. Why is it that Africans were black people, but then there's this scale of there's a scale of your complexion. The lighter you are or the closest you are to being white, you are treated a little better, right? So that thing just... But now here's the irony. I'm light-skinned and then I look at people who are light-skinned a certain way, right? So yeah, I think I gravitated more towards brown-skinned girls.
Wow, brown-skinned girls.
Baby, how good. I gravitated more towards brown-skinned girls, right?
So
as compared to like...
You wanted brown.
Well, what can I say? I don't know. What do you mean brown?
Wow.
How brown or right?
So in essence, what you're saying is you wanted someone who was not as light as you.
Yes.
You wanted someone darker.
Because if I would see like a yellow bone person, somebody as light as me, I'm like, hey, here comes a yellow bone. Aye. And then those thoughts start filling up in my head. Oh yeah, privilege, light skin privilege. Hey, society is already glorifying light skinned people as compared to darker people. So it always influenced how I dated or how I interacted with women or ladies, right?
Okay.
I don't know if that's a deal breaker, but yeah, if you approach me and you are light skinned, already you were losing points. The closer you got, and the more that I saw that you were light skinned, you're already losing points. By the time I was an hour, now you're like, hey, God, yeah. Weird, right? Maybe I've always been that guy. I just overthink things like that. I don't know. But yeah, light skin privilege.
Wow.
But the irony of it, right? So it's like I don't like my own kind.
Yeah, carry on.
All right, and then another one, right? If you make it past not being light skinned, another deal breaker for me was how do I put this one? I'd say vision, right? I like people who are visionaries. I think I've mentioned that you are like one of the, I don't want to say greatest, but you are very visionarian. Is that a word? Yeah, Bonang is a visionarian, right?
Oh my God.
When I'm having a conversation with a person, that was very important to me during the talking stage, right? Okay, can we buy this? Can we do this today? Because our conversation is always centered around just here. But there's no talk of, hey, 10 years from now, what do you think you'll be doing, right? 5 years from now, what if we do that and then wait for it? Or after 5 years, then we'll rip those rewards, right? So I like people who think of the future and trying to inculcate it in how they act today, right? So I think that's what a visionary is. So I like people who,
forward-thinking.
Yeah, forward-thinking people. Visionarians.
Visionaries.
Right. Yeah. So those are some of my deal breakers, man. A little different from yours, but I totally agree with some of the things you said, apart from the one being violent, because I feel like it might be, it could be, it's neither here nor there, right? Now, I want us to go back to my question, Yahore. Did your deal breakers stay the same throughout your journey, like from dating, being engaged, being married? The deal breakers only were a couple of minutes go still the same today, or do they apply today?
Yes.
Hey, Bush.
Yes, they still apply.
The cat is here. Yeah.
Yes, the deal breakers that I mentioned still very much apply to my marriage. People tend to say that once you get married, things change. Now, to a certain extent, I'm inclined to agree, but I feel like different strokes for different folks. Like, what would normally work for you doesn't necessarily mean it would normally work for me. Like, we are different people. What you can handle doesn't mean I can handle. That's why we tell a lot of sometimes people are shocked when some people leave a marriage. They're like, you should have toughed it out. You should have stayed. And then that person knew what they could handle and what they could not handle.
Okay.
So that's why for me some of these things have remained constant, because Gaikitsi as a person, I know what I can handle, I know what I absolutely can never handle.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've stayed pretty much the same. If I get the slightest whiff of violence, maybe I'll say maybe at this stage we'll go to anger management, we'll go to counseling for anything that I feel like maybe you do not know how to express your feelings and you tend to lash out. Maybe at this stage we could get counseling or go to anger management. But if we were dating, hey, bye.
Yeah. So here's something I want to share with the village, right? I think something is only a deal breaker once it's communicated with your person.
Okay.
Do you agree with that?
Did you communicate to people that they were yellow bones so they didn't make it? You see?
Good question. Wait! I feel like you're tricking me here.
I'm not tricking you. All I'm saying is it depends at what it depends at what stage of the relationship you are. Some things you communicate. Like one thing I forgot to mention. Finances and what's the word? There's a word I'm looking for. Full disclosure. Sometimes full disclosure can be a deal breaker.
Yeah.
Like, what would you do right now if you found out for a trust fund and you didn't know? And I've been having money for the longest while. I've been hiding my spending because...
Are you telling me something? Are we rich?
No.
We're rich!
No. But my point is...
I'm good at my job.
But my point is, what would you do? There are certain things that are not necessarily... You don't necessarily voice them out.
You're right.
It's a bit more than you can handle. Like, okay, the trust fund one is a bad example. Let's say you find out that we bought a house, right? And you didn't know this, but the house we bought was actually mine.
Okay, I know stories like that.
So in essence, you paid me.
Yeah, we paid you, alright.
So what would you do? Like, of course, we hadn't laid it out there. Yeah, these are my deal breakers and whatnot. So what would happen if you later found out? So that was my house.
Yeah, true.
I sold us my house.
Ish.
And then we became a we.
I'm a little indifferent there because when I said it's only a deal breaker once you communicate it, I realized how that statement is flawed because. Like I said, deal breaker, I mean, something as simple as you being light-skinned. So I can't necessarily communicate, you're light-skinned, so no. Maybe I could have, right?
But it's something sometimes that you just, it's internal. You feel it like it's personal.
Yeah, because I know some ladies, mostly ladies, a lot of men are judged according to the shoes that they wear. So at the moment, like it's a deal breaker for you, but you'll not always necessarily communicate it's a deal breaker. So I thought that the cat is dusty. Yeah, I thought that was something solid to say. It can only be a deal breaker once it's communicated, right? Because I wanted to say that in the context of imagine you come to me with, baby, the cat is distracting you.
No, I'm listening.
Can you imagine coming to me and saying, hey, Ghana, I saw you talking to that girl and you guys were flirty, so it's over. Well, in essence, I didn't know that was a deal breaker for you, right? That's why I wanted to take the conversation. Yeah, so I feel like deal breakers, all of them should be communicated. I don't know if I'm making sense there. What do you think?
I think you are making sense, but I think sometimes some of these things are
they implied?
They're not your preference. Sometimes your preference is a deal breaker. So it becomes difficult to communicate your preference when sometimes your preference could come off offensive.
Oh yeah.
The same way that people who prefer to date yellow bones, the same way that people who prefer to date people who are darker, and the same way that people who prefer to date outside their race or within a race. Sometimes there are preferences, and then your preference also becomes a deal breaker. But sharing your preference in Naigare, you're a bit standoffish towards certain home. So I think in some instances that's why we can allow a person does not share that deal breaker. They don't go out and say,
imagine in a world where you could say what you actually like our preferences.
Yes,
it'll be
in
crazy.
where, because I know a lot of people who prefer to date within their race, and I know people who prefer to date outside their race.
But if you said that, if somebody approached you, hey, can I date you? And then they say no.
Nah, fam.
It'll be discrimination, right?
Yes,
And
it
society
sounds
is
like
viewed as discrimination.
But in essence, that is your preference.
That's
and
what they like.
Everyone is allowed to have a preference, whether we like it or we don't. It's their preference.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in closing, I think for me, I just wanted to tell the villagers that if you are studying this Mjolo thing or you are in a relationship right now, just make sure you communicate as much as you possibly can. Because I know of instances where people are broken up, maybe your friend telling you, no, we broke up because of 1, 2, 3. And there were certain things that were mentioned that I personally felt if there was communication, maybe the other person could have said, okay, no, I didn't know you didn't like that. Like I said, you didn't like it when I came home late or when I went out with my boys from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, So I think communicate as much as you can, learn about the other person as much as you can. I know in our society we tend to say we're dating, but not in the sense of the word. We're dating, but dating to me means that is the perfect time to get to know your potential person as much as you can. Get as much information and share as much information with that person as you possibly can so that you know them and you know the deal breakers, right? You know the principles, because that can also be translated to what your deal breakers are once I know your principles, right? It's easier that way. Yeah. So that's it. Anything to say in closing?
In closing, you are allowed to have whatever preferences it is that you have. So
they're valid.
They are valid. It is, at the end of the day, you're the person who has to spend the rest of your life or spend a significant portion of your time with a certain person. So ensure that you know what you want, you make it clear what you want, you make it clear what you stand for and what you will not stand for. And thank you to our subscribers. Thank you to everyone who's followed the page and liked the page. We are very, very grateful. We are thankful to have you. And last but not least,
okay.
Happy Father's Day!
Oh yeah! Sunday, Father's Day.
Yes.
You know, Father's Day is like secondary to Mother's Day.
Oh
Father's Day is never really. I feel like it
Happy
doesn't
Father's
have.
Day, Dad.
It doesn't have the same hype as Mother's Day.
Unfortunately,
happy
it
Father's
doesn't
Day.
have the same hype. But yes, it's Father's Day this weekend, and
It'll be this Sunday, right?
yes.
Ah,
So guys, let's do what we can for our dads. Let's get them stuff if we want to.
What does that mean? Say something to Dad.
Dads tend to prefer cash to gifts. I don't know why.
No, true.
Yes.
True.
So yes, Happy Father's Day, Dad.
Yeah. Happy Father's Day, Father. And happy Father's Day to my mom, who was my father. I know that conversation is coming. It's never too far. Then some would say, no, you can't say that. because Happy Father's Day, you can't say Happy Father's Day to your mom. You know that whole debacle, that conversation.
I have a question. I have an ask.
Yeah.
Why is it that I understand they're saying Happy Father's Day to someone who was a father figure to you, even if that person was your mother
Or a woman in general.
or your uncle or whoever who took that role in your life. Why is it that it is seldom that on Mother's Day you'd hear Happy Mother's Day to my sister?
It happens. I've seen that.
I've rarely heard it, but even if your mom is around and your mom raised you, you can find that maybe your mom was working most of the time and you spent a lot of time with your sister and she was there during that time, but you'd very seldom wish a Happy Mother's Day to your mom and your sister.
It's different. I think it different strokes for different folks. It just depends on how grateful you are for that person being there or acting, having that mother figure, playing that mother figure role in your life. So I feel like if you're thankful, you should shout them out on that day.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. So Happy Father's Day, guys. Wish your fathers well.
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers I know.
Mention a few. Mention 5. Let's go. You mentioned dad, that's 1.
Happy Father's Day to my dad. Happy Father's Day to my brother-in-law.
Name drop. Or Raba's mama.
Happy Father's Day, Rawe, Yaya, and Ame. Happy Father's Day to Rawe, Wandile, and Malik. Happy Father's Day to Peebo. Happy Father's Day to Tataya. The thing is, you said I should call them by that. Happy Father's Day to Rabanye.
Yeah, good Rabaman.
Hey, Rawe, Leti to me.
Yeah.
And
Rory-san. Peace, guys. See you next week.
Yes.
Duke and Ty. Yeah, put you on the spot, eh?
Dude. What the fuck?